This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Starting the meeting of the Bees Committee for October 15th at 16:33 or 18:33, so 6:33. I'm doing great. All right. Does anybody from the public have things they would like to say?
Everyone that we have on here, I put on the agenda for the tree project, so we will say our piece then.
Just new to the community and new to owning a home and new to the Northeast. So I thought if anyone knows how to grow a plant in Massachusetts, this would probably be the place. So don't let it bother someone after.
Yeah, could we get your name, please?
Allison Gwynn.
Thank you. And approval of minutes. Anybody have any issues, or does somebody want to move to approve?
Yeah, I just want to note for everybody, Jenny provided some useful edits that I redistributed yesterday. So
move to approve that. Second.
It's been moved in second to approve the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Abstain.
Abstain.
Because I was in the hallway. Getting so excited.
Sophie, take it away.
All right. So I have here Julia, Ellery, Raina, and Lainey. I think I mentioned on our last call that I've been working in collaboration with a group of Smith students on Municipal Action 23 on our climate action plan. So since then, we've kind of narrowed down the scope a little bit to focus our efforts more on a project that is doable within a semester-long time period. And so I thought it would be great to have them on. Maybe they can give a little bit of an overview of kind of ultimately where their project proposal ended up. And then I think they also have a couple of questions for the committee as well, if time allows for that. So I will let you guys take the lead. And if you have any questions for me, feel free to let me know and I'll come off mute.
All right, sounds good. Somebody wants to join if you want to handle that.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Lainey, and we're a group of Smith students working on our capstone project for environmental science and policy major, hoping to focus on assisting Easthampton in producing an urban forestry plan, which was articulated as a specific municipal action in the Easthampton Climate Action Plan. So we've discussed our project with our instructor, Dr. Alex Barron, who's unfortunately not able to join us tonight. And we've also met with Sophie a couple times to kind of workshop what would be the most feasible for us as students with a semester of time. We'd love to be working from both a climate resiliency and an environmental justice lens. So conversations with Sophie have highlighted flood and heat resiliency as kind of like the two major benefits of urban trees that we want to focus on. And then as part of our course, we're learning how to collaborate with stakeholders to practice what it is like to tackle real world sustainability problems. So we've pulled together a draft proposal, and we recognize that we're still developing our understanding of Easthampton and what the community most values and needs. So we would just love your feedback on what we might be missing or elements you think would make this project most useful for the city and its residents.
Great.
Thanks, Whitney. So just for a brief overview of our project, we anticipate our project will have three major components: mapping, tree planting priority sites, strategies for a community outreach plan, and tree recommendations. In terms of the map, we anticipate using mapping and mass GIS data to create a priority planting analysis of sites in Easthampton based on flooding, heat, tree canopy, and environmental justice communities. Specifically, Easthampton has a tree equity score of 84, while some census blocks have scores as low as 58. In terms of community engagement, we also hope to provide the city with a community outreach plan with specifics on best engagement strategies and including practices for getting volunteers involved in planting and tree management. One specific idea we have is that our priority planting maps could provide a framework for sites to ask residents about. And alongside this, we intend to provide a set of recommended trees that would be suitable for the sites and sustainable to maintain. And additionally, in our research, we will identify case studies of towns similar to Easthampton, which have already completed urban forestry master plans and community outreach plans within these, and hope that this can help lay the foundation for Easthampton's own urban forestry master plan. And this will be compiled in a report at the end of the semester, which will provide not only context, but also best practices for other cities.
So we would just love to hear the committee's general thoughts on some of our ideas. We also have some specific questions for just context of the goals and how that specific action item was conceived and what you guys would most benefit from. So yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts on anything we just mentioned, and then we have some more questions.
Anybody have thoughts?
I mean, I think it sounds fantastic.
Yeah. My thoughts are 2 thumbs up, and can you share a draft so that we could review and ask questions? And that way, you know, I'm not coming from a complete state of ignorance.
I apologize, Hal. I do have a copy of the draft, and I'm happy to shoot an email over to anyone.
Yeah.
If you guys have like questions or comments after the fact, I'm happy to facilitate that conversation. I can also send, I think I might have sent an email introduction a couple of weeks back. If not, I can get you guys connected. But I do have a copy of their proposed project. And
Yeah, I'd like to take a look.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be lovely. I guess the one question I would have, and this would be something where it'll be, I think, interesting with the stakeholders, is the city currently has an interim tree warden, and the city has thus far not really expressed, I would say, full interest in ensuring we use native trees where possible. But for this committee's purposes, we have a pretty strong preference for native trees as best as can be defined. So that would be a thing that I'm, would want to make sure we do. And then the other thing I want to make sure that we have is timelines, because we probably will only have one more meeting sort of before the end of your guys's semester. So obviously we will want to jump on the draft and any feedback that we can give, as soon as possible, because we probably will only be able to give you any other feedback or participation in our next meeting in November.
Yeah, that would be great to get your feedback as soon as possible and whatever is feasible for the committee. And also thank you for noting the fact about the native species, and we'll be sure to keep that in mind.
Thank you.
The email chain, I'll add everyone to the email chain with a copy of their PDF, but if there's no more thoughts and you guys want to go ahead and ask your questions, now might be the time to do that.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're wondering if an urban forest master plan were to be developed in completion, who would you imagine doing it and implementing it? Would that be an outside party? Would that be internally? Would that be volunteer? And our deliverables might vary based on who we could imagine working on this once we set forth a bunch of recommendations. So we wanted to just make sure that we provide the city with the most helpful outcomes based on who would be involved potentially.
I have thoughts, but if anybody else has thoughts, go first.
I mean, I feel like that's been the issue with moving ahead with some of our initiatives, is that there's not a whole lot of mechanism for implementation. And I would imagine that DPW would be really core in that conversation. I feel like Sophie's maybe better positioned to comment on that.
Yeah, and we had chatted a little bit about that. I had mentioned to them also that the DPW director is also serving as the interim tree warden. He's attending tree warden classes every other Thursday, I think, until December, to make sure that he has like the proper certifications and everything. And he's also probably the most knowledgeable point of contact in terms of areas of the city that are. He made a point to mention to me the difference between like public shade trees and trees that are in the public right of way. So I don't think I put you guys in contact yet, but I'm happy to send an email to Greg just to make sure he's aware of the project. He knows about it, in full support of it. And so, yeah, I think DPW would be a great point to start. And I think I had also mentioned potentially the planning department and the city engineers. And I will make sure to make those introductions as well.
Yeah, we are on the committee. We are still working to try and build a base of volunteers. So if we succeed at that in the future, this is the perfect sort of thing for us to also engage with. But as it stands at this time, we don't have any sort of consistent base of volunteers. So claiming that we could offer it would be
Misleading.
We are continuing to work on that, and I think in a future where sort of either the DPW or the planning department is leading this, but would like would like extra hands, or doesn't have a schedule that works out, and we had a volunteer base, then we would be able to provide that or help find that. But at the time, we probably can't do that. I think it may also matter, just as a guess, to Sophie's point about public shade trees, which I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Sophie, but those can be trees that are on private property but are providing shade to the public, which I know there are mass regulations about.
I believe so. Yeah, that's what it sounds like based on the discussion I had with Greg, but it's honestly, unfortunately, not my area of expertise.
Yeah, fair enough. So, but that does lead me to the extra piece of there will be, ideally, I think with urban forestry, there would be a piece of like finding homeowners that are willing or property owners that are willing to work with you and planting trees on their property, which may lead back to needing volunteers one way or the other, whether it be coordinated by like the Bees Committee or coordinated by a city department. And then the city departments should be able to take on anything that is on public property themselves, I would assume. So just those two pieces.
Great.
Or really
Thank
three
you.
pieces.
One other question we had is from looking at literature and other case studies, one really important part of urban forestry management is this idea of public participation. And due to limited time in the semester, we cannot facilitate this public participation, but are planning on creating a set of community engagement recommendations. And we're just curious about any recommendations or pathways that the committee has used for community engagement and where you see opportunities of engagement and growth.
So ways that we have engaged with the public thus far, we have a monthly recurring copy and invasive removal party that we do, which is part of the way that we're trying to generate up volunteers for future organizations. We have in the past held a workshop and a couple of talks. We are continuing to do more of those things, which actually there will be some more information about our next event coming up later in this meeting. And we also have 2 email lists, which are self-service. We have a website, which is nascent but growing. And then we have 2 email lists, which are self-serve, so people can join them or leave them at their own free will. One of which we call the announce list, which is just for sending out announcements about like events that are coming up, and a little bit of, ideally we'll have more information about just like, just regular public engagement stuff, stories,
News, research, advocacy.
Yeah, news, research, advocacy, et cetera. And then the volunteer list is specifically for people who want to potentially get engaged and volunteer. So is that more or less comprehensive?
Covers a lot of it. We've also flyered for events, and that's been pretty successful. People have posted on neighborhood or townwide Facebook groups, and our regional Discord has been kind of an interesting mechanism in all this. Also a lot of word of mouth, and there have been times when our agenda items have been discussed at city council meetings, including brought up by Councilor Dunham. So
yeah, I would say the flyering has been the most successful for actually driving participation and stuff.
And I think it's worth noting with the city's pollinator action plan and the community sustainability plan. I'm probably torturing those. There was a broader public outreach effort that convened meetings and brainstorming sessions up in the city council chambers. And so, depending on what your recommendations might coalesce around, I can see something like that perhaps being appropriate. I think, the reality is you have a limited opportunity to and pardon my phraseology, throw some spaghetti on the wall. And then, people moving forward in time, we'll see what sticks. We'll work with it as best we can. And what the size, shape, flavor, and color of engagement efforts ends up being is going to evolve with those efforts.
Al, you bring up a good point, which is that those two, and probably also just the climate action plan itself,
Yeah.
had significant public outreach phases. And I imagine that's something that's part of your, research scope as well. But just, the volume of responses from questions that might impact your research is probably a really good resource.
Great, thank you so much. Does anyone have any other questions, Lainey or Ellery?
Would it be possible to you mentioned a volunteer list, and specifically your idea of like working with homeowners to see if they would be willing to, like plant more trees on private property. Would you be willing or able to share a volunteer list, so we can, I'm not sure if we're allowed to reach out to people. That's something that we would have to check with, but it might be useful to have.
I would be happy to send out any communications you want via the volunteer list. I probably would not give you the email addresses just because I'm an email privacy person myself and would tend to want to ask people if they mind it being shared before sharing it. So,
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's in the works currently, and if there's anything that you would want us to include, like absolutely happy to send that out. And we can always send out a one-off if it's
I was going to say
immediately on the cusp of being ready to go out.
Always happy to send a blast whenever you send it out. Just send it like a document of any variety, and we'll basically copy paste it in. Would welcome you to join the list so you can see what else we're sending.
Perfect. Wonderful. Thank you.
I think that's all we have on our end. But yeah, it'd be awesome if anybody wants to look over our proposal and provide any feedback. That would be totally welcome. And we'd love to also hop on the following meeting later on in the month, or in November, I think you mentioned it would be. But thank you so much for your time. We're really excited to be working on this.
There's been a question I've got to ask. It's off topic. I'm taking a 90-degree left turn, but I'm just noticing the Smith rowing.
Yes.
And, I drive through the Smith campus all the time. I look at Paradise Pond. It is not large enough for an 8-oar shell to turn around in Paradise Pond. Where do you guys train?
Right now we're in the Sportsman's Marina right across the bridge in South Hadley. So we row on the Connecticut.
Okay, that makes perfect sense to me. So why is your boathouse on Paradise Pond?
Back in the day when rowing first started at Smith, they used to row boats on Paradise Pond, but we no longer do that. And now you can take out like canoes and kayaks and do more recreational things on the pond. But
okay, I'm much happier now. Thank you.
Thank you guys so
forward with the meeting now.
Thank you guys so very much for this project and for working on this and for coming and talking to us. Super appreciate it. Looking forward to looking at it, and hopefully we can give you something resembling useful feedback.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, moving on. Shall we talk about the invasive removal after action? Renee, you want to take that, or you want me to just spell up?
I was just gonna say it was another small but mighty meeting in invasive removal. It was myself, Sean, and Andrew, who was with us, a community member that was with us last month as well. And we, unfortunately, everything was already in having seeds. So it was a mess to try to bag everything. So we just cut it down and left it, but we got through quite a bit.
There will be, we haven't written it yet. We do have pictures. There will be an after action report that I'll post on the website. For anybody who didn't know, we now have a website that functions and is out on the open internet, and it doesn't have very much stuff on it yet, but we will continue to work towards having that. It is at easthamptonbees.org. About the only real content that's out there is last month's after action report, but we'll be working to continue to expand that. And yeah, just as a note on the choice to take down Japanese knotweed without bagging and without trying to deal with the seeds, we effectively decided that with the volunteers we had on hand, that we would be much more like broadly effective, that we weren't going to do any extra damage by taking it down without taking care of the seeds, because the seeds were going to fall where they were anyway. And we also decided that it was probably going to be a lot easier for volunteers in the spring, under the assumption that we are able to continue doing this, to keep the Japanese knotweed kept to a lower with recurring monthly cut downs anyway, which we're hoping will be more effective. And, you know, we had a few talks, which included just being able to cut down a bunch of stuff in this, like, you know, raw sort of form was actually super invigorating and a nice way to respond to world events. So even if that's what we provide people, hey, it works. So we'll keep an eye on the effect that we have over time. We also talked about going forward for future things over winter, with doing winter seed sowing, which hopefully Jenny and Renee can hook us up with seeds for, as well as the seed swapping workshop that we'll talk about in a little bit. Perhaps some spares from that being able to be applied. I also think that we could probably buy organic sunchoke roots from just the grocery store, which I've planted at my house and do great and are native. And we could also just buy a few pounds of those and plant those in. And that'll start to counterplant any of the areas where we have done invasive removal. Jenny's giving me a look, so I'm not sure if she approves of that.
I'm just curious. That's so sorry if I can't.
No. It was not hostile. It was just like, is that a good idea?
Interested.
And then the other potential things that we were thinking of for, you know, because there won't be a lot of removal to do over the winter, was both sidewalks and more seed sowing. We had one other idea. What was it? Do you remember?
Seed sowing and thinking of like family events of like getting some hot chocolate and doing like a family walk on trying to think of ideas to keep the monthly meeting happening even when we're not cutting invasives, but to just keep it going so that there's no break and we just keep up the momentum of we do something once a month that has to do with the trails and talking ecology and conservation and natives and
getting out in the world.
Yeah.
So will it be one more removal in November, or was this month the last?
Honestly, I think it will depend on. Well, I might try and do a pre-walk, and I think we'll probably end up. We will continue the coffee for sure. We will do something in November.
We were thinking the seed or the sunchokes or the seed dropping,
Okay,
because that will be November, and then we might run into weather from potentially from then on. So we were thinking of the seed idea for the next one, but
yeah, I just want to make an announcement at City Council.
Oh, great. Yeah. I think we would need to walk the 3 designated areas and see if there's anything that sticks out. Like, if there were another area where we could get to knotweed, it would be an easy, like, go chop it down, because it really does. It's super visual and it has a nice effect. If there were thick bittersweet, that one is one we could do all winter, but I don't think any of our project areas, if you will, have thick bittersweet anymore. I think most of that was in the project areas near the feed store, and we've already mostly taken that out. And then the other 2 were mostly black swallowwort, which is getting to be difficult to see. And I'm not entirely sure the efficacy of pulling by the root at this point. So, but I can try and take a walk soon and send you an email with what I think we'll likely to do. But I think it's more likely to be a sowing and planting.
My 2 cents would be that seed sowing can continue through the winter.
Yes.
And even on snow. So
excellent.
Like obviously weather dependent.
Yeah.
If it's a nice day to be outside or not, but if we have seeds, like we could totally just keep going.
Yeah.
I actually will, if the next one is on November 8th, I will be at a work event doing a meadow seeding workshop in also like, it's definitely not too late.
Nice. Excellent.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Good.
I figured winter seeding. Oh, just all over winter.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
A lot of these things are winter stratified, these cold stratified anyway.
And again, just still putting the word out there that every month this happens.
Yeah, yep.
This second Saturday. Yeah.
And I had been hoping to get a flyer out, but by now, but I haven't yet. So we still need a flyer because I think once we start flyering for that, we'll actually get people to show up. But so far we haven't flyered and we've had very few people actually come. So, but we're going to be there anyway.
Yep.
Okay. And speaking of seed swapping events, take it away.
It's next. It's happening. It's happening. I should have done this before. Pull the flyer. We have a flyer. We have everything booked with Ellie.
We're booked at the annex on Saturday, October 25th from 10 to noon. Plan for the event is that 10 to 11 will be an opportunity for people to bring their seeds and then kind of package them in smaller envelopes and label them before the swap itself. In Renee's experience, that leads to a much smoother event. We are going to be able to borrow the seed cleaning devices that the Easthampton tool, like the library tool exchange. They have a couple of things. I've never used them, but I'm excited to see what that is like.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I wonder if we can check that out.
That's probably a good idea. Yeah, I'm imagining that it's some kind of like, cotton gin type thing.
Yeah,
but,
okay.
Excited to see what that looks like.
Yeah,
I
me
keep
too.
meaning to go to the library and like talk to Ellie, and I just haven't been able to find the time to do it. And then the second hour of the event would be the actual swap.
We're hoping to have, it just popped in my head, we're hoping to have, like, I'm happy to bring my computer, or if there's one there we could use. But if someone has a question about a seed that is there, like will this plant thrive in the area that I need to put it in? Is it full sun? Is it shade? Is it, I feed my dog alarm that I forgot to turn off. So that way there, people aren't necessarily taking seed that they might not be able to use, or if they want to just see how big is this plant gonna get? I have a space in my yard where, I don't want a 6-foot plant. So that was one of the little things we thought about of like, oh, that's a good idea to bring something where we could, look on one of the local Massachusetts native seed websites to get more information about that seed. So that will be there as part of the setup too, or
we would love to make that happen. And if anybody on the committee feels like they're available
to man the
yes.
computer and just be the lookup person.
Yeah.
I'll have to double check, but I can almost certainly do that.
And we'll bring the envelopes and.
Yes, I think it's like pretty light on the materials end.
Yeah.
Envelopes, probably bring some markers. We'll get a bunch of reference books from the library and have those around as a resource as well. We'll have tables, we'll have chairs.
Yeah, Jenny created a sign up. There is a QR code on the flyer for people to sign up. We're hoping that people will sign up so that way we have an idea of how many people are coming, but also there's an area on the sign up where people can put in what type of seeds they're bringing, so that, maybe if 20 people show up, we are hoping that all 20 people have like milkweed seeds. And if they do, then we know, all right, what do we have that we can bring or to supplement to get a bit more of a variety happening. And we also put on here that even if people don't have seeds to share, we want people to come, because if you're coming to an event like this, that means you're looking for native plants, which is what we're trying to promote, is everybody put native plants in your yard. So we don't want people to be deterred if they don't have any seeds to share. We want them to still come and get the native seeds to be able to plant them in their yard. So.
And are we still planning on doing a winter seed sowing workshop like after this, so people could get the seeds here and then just roll back around and come in like December or whenever we end up with that.
Yeah.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited. I'm excited to give some of my seeds and see if anybody has, it's just such a fun, like, what else can I add to my yard? And I can tell people about the seeds that I'm bringing and, the success that I've had in my yard and the different insects that I've seen. And so I think it'll be a really fun event.
This has come together with remarkable speed.
Well, I'm glad you said that.
We started talking about this in August.
And we've had a lot of emailing. It was like 10 o'clock at night. I'm
Yes. I posted it on the Discord. I haven't actually sent out the newsletter yet because I realized we're still waiting. And we put together a folder of resources for like, how do I do seed collecting? And like, what do I need to know? And Allie was gonna put it on a public facing link from the library, and I realized I haven't gotten that from her yet. So that's it hasn't gone out yet to the full list, but I'm like champing at the bit to get it out there. And I can probably flyer it this weekend, by the way.
Okay, if I can, I'm happy to help this weekend.
If you're around.
Yeah.
If you're not going to have it this weekend, I can still try and get you guys a monthly flyer, or if you guys do a monthly flyer, it's fine.
We can divide and conquer.
It doesn't have to be super.
Okay.
I mean, if Alexis doesn't make it for me, I will make one, but it will be a black and white Word document that says monthly and next.
That's very interesting. So yeah, it's the 25th. Would love to have good attendance from the committee, especially if you have seeds to share. I guess if folks can't make it, well, that's great.
Yeah, that's great.
And then we can figure out how to.
I was gonna say we'll test out the.
Yeah.
You want berries? Oh,
sure. Whatever you got. Like what I was just gonna say is, even if you can't make it, if you have stuff that you want to contribute, we can take it and have that as part of the,
I have a class of
smorgasbord.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Thank you.
Great.
I had jokes, but like who wouldn't want a 6-foot flower? That doesn't make any sense to me. I have like a 14-foot flower. The sunchokes are very tall. Cool. Anything else on this topic? All right, ordinance update. Let's stay down there. Okay, it's been overrun by the.
I think so we were the Smith students were going to kind of run with it. So I think we are not moving forward with it necessarily.
Okay, cool.
At this point.
Cool. Sophie, Grant and Garden.
Yes. So I think the last time that we met, I was unsure about being able to set up an account for a grant that is structured on a reimbursement structure. I spoke with the auditing office and Greg in the DPW office, and it should not be a problem at all. So I wanted to kind of ask what people think the next steps are when it comes to getting materials, starting the process for, maybe getting the garden ready prior to winter if we can. If not, what that might look like. I know, I'm sorry, this is like super kind of getting into the last minute. The only request, or the only, I guess, timeline that is important for this particular grant is that all of our expenses have to be reported by June of 2026. So if we're able to purchase everything before June of 2026, we're totally fine. And we can, we will have the grant. Anything past that point, they will not provide reimbursement for. So if we want to start kind of thinking about it, we don't have to, make any definitive ideas right now, but.
Have we officially laid out, or should we officially lay out where the garden is going to exist? Because that might give us an idea about amounts of materials. And the only material I would think about now, with a big question at anybody else, is when I'm intending to plant through existing turf grass, I will often mulch the crap out of it over the winter.
Okay.
Do it, or is there?
I mean, hard to say without knowing what the site conditions are. I have not been there in months, so I feel like that might be the first step.
Yeah,
and then we maybe make a plan from there.
We might need to do a site visit. Would you be, do you think you could carve out some time with me and Sophie to go do another site visit?
Absolutely.
So if you want to throw something on our calendars, we can just walk out during your regular business hours or whatever.
Awesome.
We have a little bit of fun, like using Doodle to find times, but we'll figure it out.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a good, I think that makes a lot of sense. I know we had kind of chatted about maybe doing it on either side of the walkway, but I don't know if we ever like made a firm, this is where it's going to be. And the only thing that I really had to say in the grant was like the estimated size that we were thinking. So I think Jenny and I put like, what, 1,500 square feet or something like that? I don't remember. Something along those lines. Either way, it doesn't really matter where it goes in that area. So I would be happy to send out a calendar invite. I'm going to be away next week and I'll be back the 29th. So would like the first or second week of November be too late for that? Or I think either way, it's going to have to be the next step. So
I mean, it is what it is.
Okay.
So
I will join if at all possible.
yeah, I'm happy to join too, just to get a sense.
Okay, if we have all of us, we have to make it an official meeting.
Right.
So so
Let's worry about that when we see how many there
Yeah,
are.
that's right.
Like, somebody can always back
Yeah.
up.
So the only thing that'll mean, Sophie, is we need to have the meeting set at least like what, a week or 10 days before we actually go out, so we can make a choice about whether we need to announce it as an official committee meeting.
Although I think a site visit, as long as there's not deliberation, I
Okay.
think you can have a site visit.
Okay, I'll take that.
I'm pretty sure.
So
I
we
can double
could-
check that.
Sorry, so we could go, but we wouldn't be able to make decisions.
Yeah, you would be able
On
to.
the fly.
Right, yeah.
Which
And,
it seems like it would be advantageous.
and with
if we're-
Conservation Commission, we're, Ava always tries to shepherd us to keep us from having a quorum at a site visit.
Yeah.
And fortunately, it's never been an issue, but it's good to recognize that it could be.
I would also happily bow out if other people want to
Yeah.
go, because I've already walked it, so.
I mean, if we're looking at the first or second week of November for scheduling, and our next meeting is likely circa November 15th anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe if we have the sidewalk, and then we can just come together during our regularly scheduled time
Yeah.
and deliberate if there's any
Yeah.
deliberating to be done.
So I think all this comes down to, Sophie, find us, like, let's get like 3 potential times on the board, and then we'll try and we'll decide whether or not it needs to be official or not.
that sounds great. Thank you guys for your willingness to come and check it out and help me through this, because it's, again, not my area of expertise. So all of your help and input is much
Okay.
appreciated.
It's very fun times. We like it.
Can I ask a question? Have we heard from the Girl Scouts recently, and like to what degree are they still involved in this project?
They are definitely still involved in the project. I had let her know that we got the grant. I think the last correspondence I might have had was also just making sure that we're actually able to structure a grant account through a reimbursement. I will follow up again with her. I'm sure, if it's not within her working hours, she would be interested in coming to see the site as well. But last I heard, they're still involved. I know the beginning of school and end of summer time period has been a little bit tough in terms of their availability, but we are still in contact, and it's definitely still something that they're interested in taking on as sort of their initiative. So I can include them in the site visit as well if they're able to make it.
Great.
And that's all I have for that.
Okay, so next we have, I would love for Jamie to have been here for this, but Connie here for this is also great. So set aside some discussion time for talking about updating our committee creating ordinance with removing the requirement to have the people from other committees on the committee. Because
Moving people from the committee.
hopefully not removing people from the committee so much as like adding the ability to have a couple more people, finding some folks that have more time than any of the current committee members have. Because right now we are all strapped beyond efficacy.
Yeah, actually, I'm glad this is on there because I've been wanting to ask you all about the role of the city councillor as a voting member as well, just because is there opportunity, am I taking a space, is this person taking a space from the community? Like, I don't know, right? And so is there a ad hoc city council member that you would want to be on there as, right? So I'm just thinking about your
Yeah.
involvement and being able to have people, but it's completely up to you all.
I think it's historic and not planned. I mean, we came out of really Owen Zarrett's initiative, and he wanted to be an active member. So I think that's how it came about. And I think given that he has moved on, I don't see why it has to stay that way. You know, so if there's a better way of setting things up, you know, along these lines, I'm all for it.
Yeah. Well, I want it to be community.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the real reasoning behind both the additions of folks on the other committees and the city councilor is largely liaisoning and being able to, because like if we are actually managing to get work done, like for instance, having a city councilor on the committee makes it a lot easier for us to write suggested ordinances, which is a major thing that we should be doing and haven't managed to do yet. And, you know, same sort of thing with like, you know, agricultural committee, conservation committee, and energy committee. These are all areas that we want to be working in. So like having a built-in liaison was, I think, the idea. But I think what we're running into, and the reason we're raising these questions, is having people on the committee with time, largely time, energy as well, but time to work on things is probably more important than having those liaisons, because all the liaison idea can be done ad hoc, given people who have time. Like we have, you know, we know the chairs of the other committees, we can ask for time on their agendas when it comes up without having one of the committee, you know, like I'm sure Hal would help us get onto the conservation committee agenda, even if he wasn't here. And I'm sure the committee lead would also do the same thing. Same sort of thing. You know, I think we have at this point good relationships with a number of city councilors, many of whom or all of whom will be winning re-election here in November. So, you know, I'm not that worried about like us getting time on the ordinance committee's agenda or the city council's agenda in the event of those things. So from that standpoint, if we freed up, you know, literally between, you know, 2 and 4 seats. Now, the other problem, of course, is finding community members that, you know, both want to do the work, believe they can do the work, which, you know, occasionally takes some convincing. Not, you know, that you know, have any memories or anything, but also have time. Like, you know, this is I would, you know, I think we would benefit greatly from somebody who was recently retired and hadn't formed all their hobbies and other committees, associations yet. And, you know, so being able to have room for people with time to join the committee, I think would benefit us.
Yeah. And when I say having, I still think that you should have a city councilor who
is assigned,
but I can't remember what it's called, but it's the non-voting member, right? And so that way you would still have your quorum of, it would just free up a space, but you would still have your kind of city councilor who was involved in supporting the work. Because I think it is, obviously there's a lot of connection here to just things that need to be going on in the city. So that makes total sense. But I just wanted to be clear that I'm not saying don't have a city councilor, I'm just saying like, have a, it just opens up more room for more people.
Do other folks have thoughts about this or anything of weight or matter or no? Okay, so what I might do is take a look at the existing ordinance and come up with a draft of, not that I know what I'm doing, but like come up with a draft of updating it.
We could meet to do that since I'm the chair of the ordinance committee. So
there you go.
Yeah. Conveniently and
conveniently the liaison.
So we can set up a time to meet and then we can kind of talk through that. And then we can think strategically about you know, what do you want to do?
Okay. And I'm pretty sure I wrote an email to the appointments. I thought I wrote an email to the appointments, but maybe I just need to follow up and make sure I actually wrote the email to the appointments person. But I was asking if there's a way that we could, in the event that somebody were to step down, if there's a way that we could make that transition like smooth, like be able to have them essentially like accepted before somebody steps down, as opposed to waiting for the resignation and then appointing somebody, or at least having it like the application in before somebody resigns. You know,
Right, I'd have to ask about that, because there is a particular, has to be an opening.
right? There's a workflow.
Yeah, so I'd have to ask about that.
Would you mind doing that for us? So, okay. Good. I would love to figure out if there's a way that we can not have like a month-long gap
Yeah.
of people. Okay, I think that is more or less done up. We have a letter of support for Massachusetts H104 Senate 587 to phase out crop seeds coated with neonics, which I love. Who put that on there?
That was me. I will need a second to dig that up. Okay. You. Sorry, this may take me a second. Just figuring out which email address I forwarded it from. So I got wind of this through the Grow Native Mass newsletter, which is a really good one in case you're looking for more emails in your inbox. And I guess the actual advocacy is from the Xerces Society. I will read you a brief text. Bees, butterflies, and other pollinators are disappearing at alarming rates, and neonic pesticides are a key driver of those losses. A critical bill, H1041/S587, the Pollinator Protection Act, will take a major step to safeguard pollinators in Massachusetts by phasing out crop seeds coated in neonics, one of the largest and most persistent sources of these insecticides. Which seems to align with our goals. Xerces has a form that you could submit a letter of support to our state reps, which I would encourage folks to do individually. And I'm also wondering if there's like a way for us to do that as a committee, or like what, I want to bring this up and I'm not sure what the next steps in terms of like advocacy for our voice is here.
Well, with things like this, if this is an active introduced bill,
Yes.
it will typically have a window where they are receiving comment.
Mm-hmm.
What is that window?
I will check. I just got wind of this like a week or two ago, so I think it's still very much active. Let me see if I have any reception in the basement. I can also read, now that I have the website up, I can read more information about this if that would be valuable. Do they have the bill has a hearing on October 27th before the Joint Committee on the Environment and Natural Resources. So presumably before then, but I'm not sure if there's other information that would answer that question now. Yeah.
I think that would be the part of the public comment then, right?
Okay. Yeah. So just until October 27th, maybe.
Well, that's when the hearing is, so I
Yes.
think that's when people can go in and like give their thoughts about
Yeah.
it. Or
And often as a formal process, the period for public comment can be more extended than, you just have to be aware that, the box is open until X.
Mhm.
Can you send me that link?
Yeah, I can send
That would help.
Yes.
Because, it shouldn't be difficult to come up with a letter, from whole cloth. And just as a suggestion, I would think that, we can send a letter. I hope.
Mhm.
Does that sound, anything go crosswise? So, so I'd be happy to draft something, assuming it's not something that has to be done by tomorrow morning.
Right.
But so
Mhm.
if you'll send that, let me take a look
Absolutely.
and I'll work with it as best I can, as quick as I can.
There's a template, so if that's a good starting point, and then,
Imitation is the sincerest
take
form
it
of
from
flattery.
there.
When was the hearing? I'm sorry.
Just as a point of process.
Yes.
I mean, if you were to write something
Yeah.
and you were to say it was from this committee,
We'd have to vote.
you'd have to vote.
Oh,
on it.
no, and that I was assuming that we would agree that this is what we want to say and do that.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
Whatever Hal has to say.
Yeah.
I'm speaking on behalf of the.
No, I was proposing to write something as a draft, send it around. What do you guys think?
Well, we have, that's a deliberation that we can't. do.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Well,
saying.
no, but we can
We'd have to
hopefully do it at the next meeting.
Not if it's October 27th.
It's October 27th.
Again, you're focusing on the date of the hearing. That is different.
Ah, Got it.
I see what
Okay.
you're saying.
yes.
Okay, I got you.
Okay.
So we
Take a
were
look at
all
it.
wrong.
Yeah.
Potentially, I mean, I think there's lots of digging. Yeah, very straight.
If you could tell us when the comment period is.
That is what I'm going to be looking for. Great, thank you.
I'm also gonna include the link. So,
Great, yeah, great,
But you can all individually
Right.
speak on that day.
Yes.
exactly.
for sure, yeah.
We could also call Omar Gomez and say,
Oh, yeah.
"Dear
So I was
sir,
just looking
have you
because
considered
the
the
petitioners include Lindsay Sabadosa from our neighbors, but does not include,
Well, like, it'd be good for
Yeah.
them as
so it
well.
would be worth, yeah. Absolutely.
I gather that there are several other states that have passed similar bills, and this is modeled on them.
Not that. That tends to, nobody likes being a first mover for some reason. That is almost everything. Does anybody have anything not reasonably anticipated before 4 days before the?
Something I was gonna ask about. Have some questions about the website, but I can talk with you
Okay.
separately.
Yeah, that's fine. Denise, you joined a little bit late. Do you have any public comment you'd like to make?
No, thank you. I just signed up for the newsletter. This is the first I've really thought about or had any interaction with this committee. I don't have a property now, but I expect to have one, and I'm very interested in putting in a pollinator garden stuff. So I'm glad to know about this.
Well, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And the last thing we have to do is pick the next meeting date and time. So.
Maybe not the 27th.
You know, it's funny you say that because I'm real bad at picking, being like, oh, there's nothing happening then. And then it's. Hey, there's still technology help at the Easthampton Public Library on that day. Okay, so probably mid-month again. Tuesdays are bad for me. Traditionally, we've done Tuesdays or Thursdays, but Wednesdays are also fine for me. So we can look at the 12th or 13th.
That week I could only do the 12th.
Okay. Do other folks have thoughts?
I think that the 12th would be fine.
12th.
Yeah, 12th, I can do I have finance before this, but that doesn't usually go till 6:30, so.
Okay, so keep it at 6:30?
I think that works for me.
Yeah. Does that work for Sophie?
Yeah.
That works for me. I have a dentist appointment on the 13th, so that's perfect.
Okay, so
Do we know if this room is available?
that was the other thing I did. It looks like it probably is, but it's very specific.
But just as since we talked, so I just spoke with the chair of the appointments committee, and they've never seen appointments coming that early, but it makes sense. But I think that's a conversation that they're gonna have with their
Okay.
committee to
Oh, nice.
make that decision.
So we can't get conference room B on at 6:30 on the 12.
Is conference room 1 open?
Conference room 1, yeah, there's nothing else. There's a fully remote meeting and then the conference room meeting, so I could ask for conference room 1.
Or the upstairs conference room.
Yeah. Does that mean I need a different Google Meet ID than normal?
No,
Okay,
because it's still the same.
it's on the same account.
Is conference room one, the one that's on this end on the first floor?
Yeah,
Okay.
the mayor's office, and then it's the.
Right, okay.
Yeah. And then the school committee one is on the second floor,
Got it, okay, thank you.
right above that.
I have been using your excellent notes to remind myself because I'm no longer logged into the email account that I have the agendas from here. So if you just, I'll try to remember that when I send the request.
So,
To not ask for conference room B. I need to ask for it to one of the other conference rooms.
okay, you're gonna ask for conference room 1.
Right.
Okay,
Cool.
good, do that.
Sweet. Cool. All right, that's it. I think. Anybody have anything else or a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting. All in
All right.
favor?
Yep.
Cool.
7:28.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.